However, we have done DNA tests. We are not Italian. We just want to be Italian. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you what we did when we only had a day and a half in Florence, Italy. So tips on what I would absolutely recommend that you do, things that I would do if I could stay longer, and things that we would do differently. I love making these kinds of videos because I think that it's so helpful to hear people's personal experiences and not just read, oh, this is what you should do because all the tourists do it. So that is why I love making these kinds of videos. So I hope that you get something out of it. If you do, please let me know. If you have a trip planned to Florence or anywhere in Italy or in Europe, just let me know in the comments. And if you know someone who's going, please share this video with them as well. I do videos every week on this channel about travel. Many are about travel, and I'm gonna link my travel playlist down below, as well as my reviews on other cities and other itineraries. And I have a lot coming up too. So not just Europe, but well, other places in Europe, as well as New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United States, Caribbean, Bahamas, and all kinds of places. So definitely hit that red subscribe button if you are interested in following along on those videos. There's a bell notification so you get notified as well. And also on this channel, I do things that make your life a little bit easier. So videos about lifestyle, organization, cleaning, cooking, anything that you can have an easier system for, that we all want easier systems for. That's the kind of content that I put out on this channel. But diving on into Florence, Italy. So you might be there because you are vacationing there for a long period of time. Maybe you're only there for a couple days on your way to somewhere else. You are on a river cruise, so you're just stopping there real quick, or you're on business, so it's a quick trip. So whether you're there a very short time or a very long time, I think that these tips are going to help you because these are some of my favorite things that we did when we were there. So we arrived in Florence after having gone to Munich. We had gone to Oktoberfest. We had gone to Salzburg, which if you want to see how that turned out and how we got an extra day on our trip and everything like that, go and check those videos out, as well as the whole itinerary for this entire Europe trip that we did. And then we got on a night train in Munich and arrived in Florence at about 10:30 in the morning. We went straight to our hotel. It was called La Scaletta. I will link it below. And I know that we booked it on Expedia. And anyway, we went there, we checked in, we had a great view of the Bobbly Gardens. And it was a really neat hotel. It was very old. It had a very nice rooftop restaurant, and also, to get to our rooms, we had to take this very old birdcage elevator that was pretty neat. Another note about hotels, my parents had been to Florence before when I was a kid, and they told me that before we left on our trip, that a lot of the hotels there can be sort of dormitory style. So you have your room, but then you go down the hall to use the bathroom. And my husband and I didn't really want that. So if you are looking for a hotel that the bathroom is in your room, but it's not like the most expensive room or anything like that, I would recommend the hotel we were at. I really enjoyed it. I remember that breakfast was included as well. From there, we went to the Accademia Museum, which is the one that has the David in it. There is more than one museum in Florence, and the two main ones that most people see are the Accademia and the Uffizi. And of course there's the Duomo, which is not a museum, but anyway, it's one of the biggest landmarks that you can see. And anyway, we started with the Accademia, and we actually got a museum pass for Florence, or maybe it was a city pass. And in any case, it gets you cheaper admission into the hotel or the museum. So if you're going to be seeing more than one thing, I would recommend doing that. It also helps with admission lines as well. So ticket prices and waiting in line, it's definitely worth the money. So we really enjoyed the Accademia. We saw tons of beautiful, just things you learn about in school and everything, and seeing it in real life was amazing. So again, that's where the David is by Michelangelo. So we saw that. And then we ended up going to, and this is one of my favorite tips, we went to a rooftop bar. And my tip about this is that if you are anywhere where there is a big landmark to look at, just the kind of stuff that you're like, oh, well, when I go to this city, I'm gonna see this thing. You know, you go to Paris, you see the Eiffel Tower. In Florence, you're seeing the Duomo, and which is so much bigger in person, by the way. Like, you have to really kind of crane up just to get a picture. And the colors are different up close too. There's a lot more orange and green in it than I had ever realized. But anyway, so with this tip, you just kind of pull over wherever you are, wherever you have a good view of these things that you came all this way to see. Pull over, find a bar or a restaurant, grab a drink or a snack, just whatever, just sit and then enjoy what you came to see. So for us, we went to this rooftop bar, which actually before I had left on the trip, I found an article and I will link it below, and it was Europe's top 10 rooftop bars. So I wrote down any of the bars' addresses if we were going to be in that city. So out of that list, London might have had two, but London and Florence were both on that list, so I made sure that I wrote that down. And so this particular bar was on top of the Westin Excelsior, which is a wonderful hotel, and ooh, the lobby, whew, it was beautiful. We actually knew it was a good hotel anyway because we had friends who had honeymoon there. And anyway, so we went, even though we were only there for a day and a half, we went both days to go to that bar because it was the perfect spot to just sit and enjoy the scenery. So we drank Ferrari Prosecco and Aperol Spritzes, the first of many during that trip, very Italian. And we ate olives and we listened to church bells and just watched all the scenery. It was just perfect. I will definitely be inserting pictures throughout this part of the video because it's one of my favorite Florence memories. We ate dinner on the rooftop of our hotel though, and it still had wonderful views. So we really, really enjoyed that. I'll insert some pictures here as well. So after we woke up the next morning, we went to breakfast in our hotel. It was included. And then we went to walk around town just a little bit. We didn't have a lot of time. We mostly just met up with a van for a wine tour that we were gonna go on, and it took us to Tuscany. It was called the Chianti Classico wine tour, and we loved it. And the very first stop that we did was actually still in the city of Florence, and it was a wine tasting class. And the sommelier had some profound information that I would love to share with you because I think it's very true. And this is coming from somebody who really enjoys the science of wine and you know, all that goes into it. Like, you know, when they're going to describe wines and stuff, I'm here for it. I want to hear all about it. My husband is the same way. My mom is the same way. Just, we really all like that. However, this was her profound information. She said, wine has been over-intellectualized, and what really matters most is if you like it or not. So if you like cheap wine, basically, great, good. You like what you like. And so that was her criteria of what should be most important, is actually liking what you're drinking as opposed to buying an expensive bottle of something because you feel like you have to, or like whatever. I know that there are many schools of thought on that, and sometimes cheap wine leads to a hangover. So maybe bump your budget up a little, or that life's too short to drink cheap booze. And I agree with all of those to a similar extent, but you know, moderation. Anyway, I've had some perfectly wonderful wines that are very cheap, and if I were to taste an expensive and a cheap, sometimes I like the cheap better. You know, it was a very you do you kind of piece of advice. But yeah, I don't know, it always stuck with me, and I share that with people a lot. So after the class, the bus took us into Tuscany, and we went to 2 different vineyards, and both were amazing. The second one we went to, I believe, was called Casa Emma, and we had lunch there too, and we only just had basic spaghetti, and I'm telling you guys, it was the best spaghetti we've ever had. And I remember the noodles were, they were spaghetti noodles, but they were just thicker And the sauce, they were telling us, they're like, it's only 4 ingredients. It's tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, and basil. I'm like, you need nothing else. This is perfect. Like, it was just incredible. So we had lunch there, and I remember getting my grandpa a postcard. We are not Italian. I wish we were. Fun fact, Italian is the first language I ever learned, not like fluently, but ever learned other languages in. Because my parents had been to Florence actually when I was pretty little, and they brought us back cassette tapes for Disney stories. So like Cinderella and Pinocchio in Italian, and you had a book that went with it, and it's like, turn the page, and you would just kind of learn along. And when you're little, you just learn languages really well. So, however, we have done DNA tests. We are not Italian. We just want to be Italian. And my grandpa was stationed in Italy during World War II, and he kind of thought he was Italian after that too. He was super interested in it. So I remember getting him postcards there. But anyway, the scenery alone was just incredible on these tours. I think that even if you didn't drink alcohol, you should still do a wine tour just so you can go to Tuscany. Anyway, yeah, it was incredible. We loved the tour so much. I would highly recommend it. I will link, if I can't find the exact tour, I'll find something similar, but I'll link it below. The tour also took us to the Piazzale Michelangelo. It's a square, famous square that has very good views of the city. And there is another statue of David there. It's like just a smaller scale David. And that was really neat to see too. And I think there was a Ferrari there that my husband got to like ride in or something. Now after the tour, it was kind of early in the morning and it lasted several hours, but when we got back, we still had the rest of the day to spend time in Florence. So we went to the Uffizi Museum because we still had those museum passes. At one point, I was leaning over to check out an exhibit. It was kind of gated, and I looked up because all the ceilings are ornate, and my sunglasses fell off my head into the exhibit. And I mean, I'm trying to reach over. That wasn't working very well. I had to go under the gate somehow and like retrieve them with my arm. Actually, no, I think my husband has longer arms. I think did it. I don't remember who did it, but it was kind of a funny story of like my sunglasses fell into a restricted area where people can't go, and we had to get them back. Embarrassing at the time, but pretty funny as well. So we ate at our hotel again that night on the same rooftop bar that we had dined at the night before. And that's something that we don't normally do, is go to the same place twice, especially if we only have a short amount of time. But that rooftop bar at the Westin was definitely worth it. And really so was our hotel for dinner. And I think by that time we had just exhausted ourselves from that day, and we're like, let's just go where we know is good and we have good views and stuff. So kind of going off of that rule of thumb that I was mentioning earlier, where just go somewhere where you can see all of the things that you want to see, all the views and all the scenery. The 2 rooftops were really our best options for that. So we just stuck to what we knew we could see good views from. While we were at dinner that night, we met a couple who had just come to Florence from Capri, Italy. I think it was a couple from Holland, and they were showing us pictures on their cameras of things that they had done in Capri, and that was actually our next stop. So that is also going to be my next video. And oh man, guys, like I liked everywhere we went, honestly. But I think about Capri every day in my life. So anyway, I'm very excited to tell you about that in the next video. So if you're not subscribed, hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss out when I post that video, because I mean, you're gonna be convinced to, like, you're just gonna wanna go to Capri, like, as soon as you watch it. But here's what I would have done if we had more time. I would have spent more time at each museum. I would have gone inside the Duomo because we were not able to. The lines were too long. So we could only see the exterior of it, which was still super exciting. But you know, you're all that way. And I'll tell you guys too, I've been to Paris twice and still haven't seen the Louvre. The first time I was there too fast that we didn't have time. And then the second time there was an 100-year flood and we couldn't go because it was closed. That'll be another video for the next Europe itinerary trip that we did. It was not on this trip, but anyway, would have gone to the Duomo. I would have done more wine tours if we had stayed longer, tried different ones out. It would have taken us to different places, tried different things. But we did try a lot of Chianti and Sangiovese wine, because those are two wines that are very popular in that area. So that was very fun to see. And then the last thing I would have done if I had more time in Florence would, two more things. One would be to stay in Tuscany. So if I were there for like a week, I would have stayed in the city for some of it and stayed in Tuscany, like in the country, for some more of it. And also just a tip in general is if you are in Florence, buy leather. You can usually get really good prices. So whether it's gloves, a purse, a coat, if you need leather, anything, that's a really good place for it. All right, guys, so that is my experience with a day and a half in Florence, Italy. I hope you enjoyed. If you are going to Florence or if you have been, please let me know in the comments if you had a favorite thing that you did there or that you've heard about or that you're excited to see yourself. Please let me know in the comments as well. And with that, if you know anyone who's going to Florence or thinks that they would like to see all of this experience and these tips and everything like that, please share with them as well. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button so you don't miss out on new videos. The next one is Capri. I'm gonna have all my other travel videos linked below. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.